Hello, everyone, and welcome to Around the World with Duff. I think I actually had a smooth opening for once. Well, thank you for joining, you guys who are around the world. We are in Toronto here today. It is episode 6, because we speak French in Canada too. And today is May 23rd, 2020. We've been in this lockdown for quite some time. It's been months, and congratulations to all of you for doing it. We're doing it, and hopefully we'll keep doing it because we have to. This is going to be a great show. This show, for any of you joining, is me chatting with people around the globe, checking in different countries. Some people I know, some people I don't know, and just finding out what's happening in their daily lives, in their social environment, in their governmental environment, and anything else that comes up. I'm hoping to add some music, some world music of different countries, people, performing. Who knows what? We can do whatever we want because we don't have anybody, guiding us or lording over us per se. It's just me and my crew of nobody. So I have a wonderful guest today, a friend and a colleague and someone who's been in my life for quite a few years now, I think. And we also have a special guest tuning in, our special field correspondent. So I also just want to give you a few details on what's happening in the world. So globally, we have 5 million people plus that are infected with the virus. 338,400 deaths. 338,400 deaths. And then 1 million, this is very interesting, 1,411,500 have recovered. That's really important. So that's 1 in 5,500 humans. That's pretty interesting. So I also wanted to talk to you about this really interesting story that came up and I thought was really cool. We were talking to our friend Samantha in LA, who was headed back to Vietnam the other day, and she was stuck there. So there's a lot of people who are in that sort of limbo land, stuck somewhere and can't get to their destination, get to their family. It's really an unfortunate thing. There is this couple who left for Cancun, Mexico. I don't know if you guys have seen this. And they actually, the pandemic started and they were headed to Cancun for their honeymoon. So they got to Cancun, but then everything locked down while they were there. They wanted to return home as soon as possible. They got to Turkey and everything locked up. So they ended up spending 2 days in Turkey in limbo. So they were told they couldn't actually continue on their journey. So they thought, what the hell? Well, why don't we make a vacation of this? The only place that would allow them to come in was actually the islands in the Indian Ocean, the Maldives, which is beautiful, gorgeous. So they, I think, are still in the Maldives. They've been there for quite some time. And they're on their second honeymoon, I guess, now. So they've spent the last month in special isolation facility set up in a Moldovan government resort on the island of Athaveli. And if you can pronounce that, you win $50,000. Anyway, I thought those poor people are stuck in the Maldives. My heart is bleeding for them. So yes, this is now we have our special correspondent standing by, Lloyd Dickey Robinson Johnson. His name keeps shifting because of, I think when he crosses borders, we're not sure, but I think he's in Vietnam. I'm not sure. We've got him standing by here. Let me just check here, see where Lloyd is. Just hold on, please, folks. I'm running this whole thing by myself. So let's just see. Lloyd, are you there?
Are we on?
Lloyd, yes.
Hi.
Lloyd, are you?
Hi.
What is going on?
Well, kind of.
It looks like you're in a Christmas tree, Lloyd.
No, it's I'm trying to get out of it. Just a second. I'm trying to hide. That's better. Whew. Yeah.
How
So
are things going? I know we haven't talked to you in a while. We sent you a scooter to head over to Vietnam. You actually made it to Vietnam and got out of there?
well, funny story. I ended up getting a friend of mine who had a glider, and where am I? Oh,
Oh,
here's the camera. And basically, we ended up heading towards Scotland, and then what
oh,
happened
wait,
is that what?
sorry. You went from Vietnam to Scotland on in a glider?
Yeah, yeah. But here's the thing: the glider. The winds are so strong here right now. I don't know if you know this, but there's a big uh what are they, cyclones or typhoons? When they're in India, there was a big one, Bangladesh,
Yes, yes,
and
yes. Actually, a
basically
horrible one.
they blew us way past Scotland, and I ended up landing in Ireland.
Oh,
Yeah, so I got this tat.
so you're in Ireland.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. You actually went to the Guinness distillery. That's really wonderful, Dickie. But we actually need you to be in London, because that's where we
Oh.
are checking in next. So you're a little bit
Ah.
off. Is there any
Yes.
way you can make it over to London so you can check in there?
Well, I will definitely try. What's happening right now is that anybody that is entering Ireland, they need to register with the government.
Oh,
And yeah, you basically are monitored for 14 days. So hence, I am in a bunker again. DUMB, remember?
oh, the dumb
Deep
bunker. Yes,
underground military base bunker, same thing.
right.
And so yeah, I'm hiding here until the time comes where I can get another ride, preferably not a glider, because see what it does to your hair.
Yes, yeah,
Crazy things.
yeah. You obviously had it bleached since we last talked to you as well.
No, that was not bleach. My goodness, no, I would never do that. It's just with the wind, current, and the salt water, we were zipping. Like we were going
I
fast.
can't imagine a glider all the way from Vietnam to Ireland is
Yeah, I
quite
know.
the trip. Well, I'm glad you made it there.
Thank you.
We'd love it if you could somehow expedite the process of getting out of Ireland and get over to expedite. Yes, yeah, that was quite the right word. If you could get over there as soon as possible, because we're actually headed after today. We're headed to Portugal, so perhaps you can just keep on sailing south.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you want me to go to London first?
Yeah.
And then by what day?
By Tuesday. Can you be in Portugal by Tuesday?
That's yes, I can. Yes.
All right.
I will get my military friends here to give me a lift.
We lost your sound. Looks like. Are you there?
Yeah.
What are you? Is everything?
Yeah.
Okay. Lloyd, thank you so much. It's really great to check in with you, see that you're still alive. We look forward to hearing more about what's going on in each country. If we could actually just get you to the country in time, then you'd be able to report more on each zone. So hopefully you'll get to Portugal before we get there.
I'm quite sure I will.
All right.
I know I will. And they're not on lockdown as much, I believe. So we're okay.
No, we haven't heard much about Portugal.
I'll try and find one of the DUMBs there too. Maybe if you could put that on the scanner.
Sure.
Then they can actually have an alert and they'll look for me.
Yes.
Because I still have my lab coat on just in case they need me to do any kind of research there.
Right.
Right there.
Thank you, Lloyd.
Okay.
We'll check back in with you, Lloyd. Take care of yourself, and I hope you get out of Ireland. Have a good Guinness while you're there. And have one for me and for Alastair.
Oh, okay, great. Yes, thank you so much.
All right. Take care of yourself, Lloyd.
Bye. Is it still on?
Wow. Well, a couple technical glitches there, but I think Lloyd has made it there. That's good to know. I was quite concerned. And the fact that he made it by hang glider or glider, not sure quite what that is, over to Ireland is a miracle in itself. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in my guest, Alastair Hudson, who is standing by in London. And we're going to bring him in. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest, Alastair Hudson. Are you there, Alastair? Hold on. There you are. Sorry. Thank you for enduring Lloyd Dickey.
I'm impressed. I am impressed.
I'm not.
I mean,
He's costing
anything
us
you
a
can get
lot
from
of money.
Taiwan to Scotland.
Right.
It's a hell of a long walk.
It truly is a miracle, but I guess, you know, all the airlines have shut down and things are a bit rough out there. There's no way to get out of there. So I'm really proud of him that he made it that far. We've got some people are laughing. Well, that's good. Anyway, welcome, Alastair. Thank you for being our guest on the show today. I'm so happy that you're here.
Hello.
Oh, are you there?
It's lovely to see you. It's lovely to see you.
You too. I'm so glad you're joining us. Thank you. And how are things over in London? I know you've been there. How many years have you actually been in London?
Oh my God. Well, I left Glasgow in 1987.
Wow.
I'm 52 years old, and I left when I was run out of Glasgow when I was 19.
Right. Oh, run out of Glasgow. What happened there?
Yeah. Well, I figured there were four ways out, really. You know, working class Glasgow. You either had to it was criminality, marrying for money, football. Well, that sure as hell wasn't happening, or show business. And I thought if I polish this turd well enough and practice my time steps and sing notes that I don't really possess, with keen abandon, I might just get away with it. And that was dodge. But Glasgow is an incredible city, and it's really weird. Other things that I left it for, are the reasons that I run back now.
Right.
You know, it's like I was a kind of slightly bewildered state.
Right. Well, you actually
slightly bewildered 19-year-old.
It's changed quite a bit over the years, though, right? It's quite artistically, it's quite alive over the past. Because I was there. You were actually guiding me on my last trip through Scotland, and offered to drive me through the countryside of Scotland. I really appreciate that. And so Glasgow is actually quite alive now, isn't that? Is that right?
I think it was always alive, but I mean, when I was at school. There was a whole different world. I mean, as a young kind of gay man growing up in Glasgow, there's this whole thing, no mean city. There was a murderer called Jimmy Boyle who went on to become an incredible sculptor. Billy Connolly was just kind of like, early, his career started in the 70s, but kind of, there was a lot of music, band, hue and cry, and Deacon Blue, and kind of amazing things were happening. Jimmy Somerville, Small Town Boy. Right. The communards, all that stuff was kind of Eurythmics, all that stuff was kind of happening. So there's always been a really, really vibrant art scene in Glasgow. Yes, and it's got a very particular identity. Right. And then of course there's the Edinburgh Festival, which is like 45 miles away. So I mean, there's always been a very, very vibrant kind of artistic identity and kind of credible kind of range of outputs. So
right. I felt that when I was there. So showbiz took you to London. Is that
showbiz took me to London? I went to London.
Essentially saying.
I went to London to study. I mean, when I was at school, there was a thing called Clause 28, and it was a kind of structural, kind of legal framework really in schools. Teachers couldn't describe anything that was same sex. It was called Clause 28. It was a law that was repealed. Kind of as I was kind of becoming an adult, and that's
quite amazing
they couldn't discuss anything seen as promoting homosexuality. And it was like, but we had teachers that were brilliant who kind of found ways around it, shall we say.
I'm sure.
I mean, it was a drama group, and I spent the entire time in the music corridor practicing clarinet and saxophone and being in choirs.
Right.
I mean, let's face it, football and rugby sure as hell did not hold too much appeal for me.
Right. Other than being around a bunch of really hot guys with big glutes.
There were other places to go looking for that in Glasgow.
Right. So so the reason we are actually connected is from Toronto. So did you spend time in Toronto? Is that?
I've got incredible relatives. I've got my mum's brother, my Uncle Stuart. I think he was kind of banished to an old auntie in Toronto in the kind of late 50s, and he fell in love with an incredible German woman, Matt Margo, who lives there. In November last year, she was 80 years old, and she lives in Ajax. And my cousin lives there with her 2 sons and daughter.
Right.
And I've been in their lives. They were like, well, I mean, Arden was when I first started coming to Toronto. I mean, Alexander was a baby, and Arden was like, my God, Arden would be in his mum's tummy when we went to see Ragtime at the Ford Centre.
Oh yeah, yes, right.
Mark Cassius was in that, and we went to see the show. And my cousin Debbie was very heavily pregnant, so heavily pregnant we missed the opening, which I've never really forgiven her for. And Matt and Margaret, so we kind of ran, and and our sister-in-law Marcia, they're kind of regular theatre lovers. So and they're kind of, I've got two sides to Toronto. I've got my downtown village, kind of gay Toronto, and then I've got my family, and they both nourish my soul in very different and precious ways.
That's amazing. That's
and of course, I mean, I've 18, and then I did a play in Toronto at Buddies in Bad Times.
Oh, you did? Which one?
And then I met many people that were in show business. I did a play called Hosanna by Michel Tremblay. It was a Scottish translation of it at Buddies. Time ago, 2000 and early 2000s.
Right. Hosanna
it was a Scottish translation.
Oh, interesting.
I didn't know it was. I didn't know it was such a big play. Yeah, I mean, they've translated lots of Tremblay plays. Les Belles Sœurs became the Good Sisters.
Right.
And for my mother, they've done loads of them, because the joual, the kind of the rhythms of the Montreal joual accent, it's got a 5-beat Alexandrine, which sounds terribly odd in English. We'd go, "Hello, how are you? Hello, how are you?" It's an up inflection. "Hello, how are you?" So it's a very, very so I mean, it equates really well when it's translated. I mean, French plays in English generally tend to sound quite static and ploddy.
Yeah, right. That's really interesting. Like,
I mean, it doesn't work as well in English as it does in a kind of working class Glasgow, working class joual in French. So I saw it when I was a kid in Glasgow, this production.
Right.
And then I saw that someone was doing it in London, and I was very keen to be involved. And then the woman who produced it and directed it, Wendy Thatcher, still is a show actress, she brought me over to do it with Toronto's very own Tony Nappo.
Oh,
one of the sexiest heterosexual actors in Canada.
Tony Nappo, that's awesome. I don't know him personally, but I've heard much about him, and he sounds like a hilarious guy. So funny,
talented, outrageous, funny, and had this Scottish accent that could have held its own in Glasgow. He was great fun.
That's impressive. That's very. So now Mark. So Mark Cassius. Yeah. So that's our connection. Ironically, this year actually he was headed to New York to do a concert, a rehashed concert of Ragtime. I think it's the anniversary, right?
Yes, New York.
And
it was cool in New York because of this bloody COVID drama. Yeah, I mean, it sounded like it was going to be incredible.
Yeah, it did. It really did. And I was so proud of him to go back there. He's been through quite a bit lately, and so that's a funny thing. So now, how did you meet Mark Cassius? I'm just interested. I'm sure people out there have no idea what we're talking about.
No, it's I mean, I came over for a 3-week holiday to stay with Wendy Thatcher in Nigeria on the lake. And so I went straight from the airport to Niagara, and then I came in for my middle week to go visit my Margaret and my Uncle Stu, and then they decided that I should come down and see the village, and I went in, and then I was introduced to another incredible performer called Stephen Sims.
Oh, Stephen Sims, yes, right.
And Robert
Urich,
Jill Hamilton Reeves, right. And then I think you and I met in some upholstered sewer on a dance floor, probably. Some ungodly hour in the morning. And then Mark Cassidy, Mark was working with the Nylons at the time, and he was in and out. Yes. But we met, and it was like, the scene in Maria Stuarda when Mary Queen of Scots and the Queen Elizabeth of England meet, and it was like I thought, who the hell is this? And we just there was this, in those friendships, friendships become friendships. And he comes to London and stays, and I go and stay with him. And I stayed with Robert. I mean, I've done so much couch hopping in Toronto. I've done a lot of sleeping. I've done a lot of sleeping around.
But, lots of surfing.
Toronto's been kind to me.
Oh, well, we it's a global city. That's why I live here, because there is just everybody here, and I love it. I'm from Saskatchewan, so we don't have that diversity in Saskatchewan. I mean,
it's a very, very special place for me.
Well, I'm so glad I got to meet you, and especially now because you're a guest on the show. So this is like perfect timing. I think Mark is watching. We hope he is. I asked him to be on the show, but he's, everyone is very sequestered right now, and everyone's going through their own thing. So
and Mark's got a very complex rider. I mean, he requires a very big makeup and has to be styled.
The red tape to get him on is just
very, very demanding.
It's thick and long. Yeah. So now you are where are you in London?
I'm in East London. Now I live in Stratford, which is where the Olympic Village is. And I moved here in, 1994, before it became gentrified and shishi and kind of this.
Right.
It's quite incredible how London changes. It's like fashionable areas it's almost like, the gays move in, do it up, and then suddenly they move on. But Stratford's now become
we fixed it
kind of exciting place. Yeah, it's amazing. It's home. It's very accessible. I mean, and I've been here for 20 years plus.
Oh, amazing!
Have you not? You've not been here to stay, have you?
No.
Darren Baker's been, and Mark's been, and Robert's been here as well. Actually,
I've yet to. I mean, I actually was on my way over this year. I was gonna try and come over. We were headed over to, I was gonna do a whole European thing, but that didn't happen. So I'll get over.
What were you going to do to it? I love when people say, "I'm going to do Paris this summer." Like, what the hell are you going to do to it? It's been there for quite some time. I'm going to go and do Berlin. Done. I'm going to do Berlin. I'm going to go do Montreal. It's like
Berlin's been done. Montreal's been done. Paris has been done.
Yeah. I've not been, actually.
To where?
Not been to Montreal. I've been to Quebec. I've been to Vancouver many times.
Right. I actually would recommend going to Quebec City. Montreal is beautiful, but Quebec City is like plucked out of time. It is suspended.
I've been to Ottawa. Yeah, I've been to Ottawa and Quebec City. I mean, that was interesting for me. It was that glamorous hotel in Ottawa called Beautiful.
Yes, it's one of the Fairmont hotels, one of the old CP hotels. They built them all across Canada. They're like castles. My
uncle worked in Royal York for years and years and years.
Yeah,
my uncle too. So
it's one of the CP hotels. I think it's CP. Now Fairmont owns it. So, well, that's amazing. So then now, what are you up to these days in London, and what is the climate like there, per se?
Well, we've just had an amazing week of glorious weather, which is a bit of a challenge for people being in this bizarre lockdown.
Yeah, right.
And I think there's a rebels that there isn't everywhere else. But we are getting really mixed messages from government. We're in an odd situation. This small island's got 4 devolved nations, if you like.
Yeah.
And that things like health and education are devolved. So Scotland's got its own response, and England's got its own. So Boris Johnson's the Prime Minister of the UK Parliament, but Scotland's got its own leader within the Scottish government.
And they already all want to do their own thing anyway.
Well, they're all doing slightly different things, and it's a bit inconsistent for a country this small. That's the interesting thing about your comic earlier, speaking of it being in Ireland. Even the Northern Irish and the Republic of Ireland, the response is slightly different with different quarantines and regulations. So, but I think we're in that science. It's a new virus. We know something, but many things I think we don't know yet. And it's like there's a lot of a lot of knee-jerk stuff going on, and a lot of kind of panic going on. But the principles of epi-science for viruses is pretty straightforward. It's hunt and find, test, trace, and treat or support. And I think because we don't have those mechanisms in place here, and we locked down late, we're our response has not been as, let's just say, it's not been as stellar as it could have been. And we're starting to look, we're up. I think the 4 worst countries in the world are the US, Russia, Brazil, and we are holding the 4th position at the moment.
Yeah, I think so.
And relatively speaking, it's a small island with a relatively small population compared to the US, and it's going to be interesting to see where it moves.
Yeah, it seems, after looking at some headlines and reading some articles about the UK, it seems like it's the same type of thing happening as in Canada, especially the US. Trying to get the economy going, with fear that it's all going to collapse, and trying to, ease into it. But I don't think you just can't. This thing is ruthless. It's going to take us all down if we open up just a little bit. Like, the countries that seem to stop it right away seem to be doing okay with, 0 deaths and 0 cases.
Well, I think you had to hit it hard and early. I mean, the thing about what we seem to have here is, I mean, it's becoming a bit of a political pissing contest.
Right.
This is at the moment a health crisis that's rapidly becoming an economic crisis. We are already not even in a recession, we're now in a depression in this country.
Yes.
There's big national brands that are quite frankly not going to be there when we come out of this. And I think anybody that thinks the world we're going to come out to is the world we left as being at best naive. And that we know that we're surplus to requirements in the workplace. I mean, you look at supermarkets and even how you go through an airport. So much of it's now automated. Artificial intelligence, 5G are going to be game changers. I think they're kind of seminal in the way that, fire on the wheel was some time ago. So I think, when you look at what's happening in the workspace and then the balance between managing this R number, the amount of people that, you can actually infect versus the economics of actually opening an economy, much of which is not going to be sustainable or is actually viable. So, I mean, we've got a furlough system here whereby certain key workers have been furloughed and paid by government support, but that's not sustainable as a long-term strategy. So it's going to be interesting to see what can open, what can we deliver, and what critical services do we need versus we'd like, or we need to have versus would like to have, need to have, want to have. So it's going to be, I think.
And then what about all those displaced people, right? Where did they go? The people that were there and now are automated, what happens to those people is the thing like that. It's going to be a completely different world when we come out of this. That's for sure. Like, so I'm really interested in, sorry, go ahead.
Just one of our theatre producers here, Sonia Friedman, she actually produced Ragtime in London. And she's done some amazing stuff and, very, very involved. She's saying that unless there's a government bailout, 70% of our entertainment industry is kaput. I mean, you think about a tour in the UK. I mean, we've got West End, Thriving West End Theatre. And I mean, they're all now closed. I mean, things like, production of Hello Dolly that was going to be happening is now gone. Frozen was going to be opening at Theatre Royal Drury Lane in December. It's now been pulled. It's been pulled.
Yeah, same in New York too.
And you've got tours of things that were scheduled to go out in the autumn. Now all these sets are still stuck in theatres. With automation that's kind of I mean, shows like a live animal exercised every day actually run the automation track, and belts go and computerized things. I mean, these are live entities that need to be manipulated to work. And I think getting casts up to speed and ready for a tour, casting at people God forbid, might die, might get ill, might not be available, might have got a better gig, might get married, might have, be stuck in India. There's a whole range of things that are competing factors.
I know,
So I think it's a very, very interesting time.
It will be,
scary.
Very scary, And that seems to be the thing. Like, there's also like personally for people, it's a scary time for for example, the gay community. I was thinking about that like a couple of weeks ago. I thought, how are people, not only gay people, LGBTQI, everybody across the board, and straight people, also, this is changing all the way we operate, and it's I don't know if people are they sticking to the rules? Are people having sex? And you dealing with sexual health must have to deal with this. A lot of people don't know what to do. How are they coping?
Well, when it comes to sex, people know what to do.
Yes.
Your body will kind of drive that train for you.
I have a question for you. Is COVID?
Should I be nervous?
Is COVID transferred through body fluids other than through the mouth?
Through the mouth. Well, there's evidence that it's been found in semen. I mean, and the thing about the science, I mean, I don't really want to get into speculating about the science, because I think in some ways, we're in this country 9 weeks into lockdown, and essentially, you're less than 3 months in. So there's a lot of emerging studies that are saying a lot of really interesting things. I think the International AIDS Society that's scheduled do its conference, but with San Francisco, it's now going to be an online conference. But they've dedicated a day to having a COVID abstract. And so it's a peer-led, people submit abstracts from the world's leading scientific institutions and, you know, research experts. They're going to submit abstracts for peer review. And then obviously that conference will come online. I think it's free, actually.
Oh, sorry. What's an abstract? I'm sorry. I don't know what that is.
Okay, an abstract, if you're conducting a piece of research, an abstract would be a kind of summary document that you would submit to a conference for review and inclusion. And the International AIDS Society put their stick in the ground with this and saying that, you know, they're going to do a day of COVID-specific narrative. It's going to be a time when the world's leading experts in that space, which has been traditionally the HIV/AIDS conference. It happens every 2 years.
Yeah.
International AIDS Society based in Geneva. This year it was scheduled to be in San Francisco. Conference.
Sorry, where was it scheduled
community,
to be?
Community and activists.
Sorry, where was it scheduled to be?
There was one in San Francisco, and San Francisco, Oakland, and then another conference with community activists was scheduled for Mexico City. And that narrative is critical, I think, in the HIV/AIDS space. But it's now become an online conference. So that's going to become quite interesting to see what comes out of this COVID day, because people will submit abstracts that are going to be reviewed by the world's leading epidemiology and research scientists working in infectious diseases. So I think in some ways that might be a really significant conversation for evidence-based stuff. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's been done in a hurry because it needs to be, in terms of vaccines and tests and, you know, obviously
people trying to fix it.
Reactive tests, and then antibody tests, which is important. But I think, you know, it's a much and obviously treatment to get through this. So I think it's a very, very emerging scientific space. And I'm really loath to kind of speculate because, one, I'm not a scientist or a doctor. Certainly my own experience of it, I thought I had what would be classic COVID symptoms. I mean, I had like chest pain, like you have bricks in my chest, and coughing and kind of muscle aches and kind of, you know, a metallic kind of losing sense of taste and smell. And I did a reactive test, a kind of nose swab and oral swab, and it came back as a non-reactive. So I'm, as far as I'm aware, technically not COVID positive or have not had COVID. I mean, I'm not going to go shopping for an infection, let me be clear. But I just think, you know, it's a very interesting time. And I think governments are kind of getting up to speed at varying speeds. The UK response has been a bit slower, but I think things are moving now in the right direction.
I hope so. Yeah, it definitely has shades of the HIV. I was also thinking about that, is that we lived through that whole HIV. The younger generation didn't really. And the feeling of walking down the street, the stigma in your head is now global. The sort of feeling of like, oh, I could give that person what I have is now a global feeling. It's much more palpable. I found that really interesting as this started to go, is that assuming that everyone's positive is really the kind of way to go, which is kind of an HIV way of thinking, right? I know when I'm out there in the community, I always try and think, you know, everybody's positive, just to protect and to wrap your head around it.
Well, the bottom line is they're not. In the UK, 97% of people that we believe and are taking medication, adhering well, and as such are uninfectious. The UN AIDS targets for 2020 did this target called 90-90-90, and the idea was to get in your domestic environment. So in Canada, I guess they're the same, and the UK, to get 90% of the people who are living with HIV to be diagnosed, and 90% of those people who are diagnosed onto treatment, and then 90% of those people to take treatment to achieve what we call an undetectable viral load, which means that you don't have enough copies of the virus in your blood, in your 5 fluids that are carrier fluids, if you like, or in your body really at large, by which you can actually transmit HIV. So if you take medication, 1 tablet a day for many people, some people more, but for many people it's 1 tablet a day with negligible side effects in most cases. If you've got problematic side effects, maybe you need to look at the treatment options. But in the UK, of those 97%, of people. I think it's 94% on treatment, 96% of that 94.
That's
the number,
actually
certainly in
great.
that area,
Really
are actually undetectable, and that's such an infection. So by reducing the virus at population level, you reduce the potential for people to transmit. And I'm really clear. I kind of, when everybody speaks about passing on or catching or getting, viruses are transmitted and acquired. You know, you don't. I'm going to hopefully infect you with my COVID. I mean, that's psychotic behavior.
Yeah.
You know, that's how people behave. But I mean, I think, you know, certainly for gay men, certainly in countries like Canada and the UK, where treatment is available and we know it works, if you take it as prescribed, there's the potential to become undetectable, which is a game changer. You know,
oh my God,
you're no longer a vector of infection.
Whole state of mind changes. I was talking about like in the beginning, you know, like when things were different. Like that's what I mean. Like, but now it's interesting that that this is all shifted to to the general population. Now.
Yeah, it's a different thing. I mean, the thing about HIV stigma was specifically because of the taboos around sexual transmission. I think that was another layer to it that made it big, scary monster for many people.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's really interesting. Like I've also heard that that people are also. I wanted to ask you about masks in England. What is the protocol for masks? Have you followed the same type of protocol that we have? Oh my God, you have a party box.
I do. I'm not messing about. No, I mean, you know, the bottom line is, you know, this is a barrier. You know, it's like, you know, like condoms. We know that condoms were a barrier for semen. You know, for sex. With an orifice of choice, you know, because I mean, we know that semen's a carrier fluid. We know that sputum and, you know, coughing, it's a disease that affects the lungs, the droplets, and, you know, sputum.
Yes.
That, you know, grogging in the street is not good at the moment.
Sputum.
You know, and a mass sputum grogging. You know, and you know, so I just think it's, you know, it gives you a layer of protection. How effective it is. I mean, let's face it, a fart can go through a layer of underpants and denim jeans, and you can still smell it. You know, so there's still risk. But I just think, you know, people saying don't use masks. I'm going, if it's available and it gives you a level of protection, you're going into a dense environment. Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
I'm not saying. I mean, you know, you can only be responsible for the level of protection that you afford yourself. If this is the level of protection I'm capable of using, why wouldn't you? You know, so people saying, do you go to drama school to make you a better actor? Do you need to go? You don't, but it gives you somebody else. And you know, any tool you have to protect yourself from a virus that you know to be infectious, that you don't really know the rules of. I would err on the side of taking the precautions that were available to me.
I have someone else who would like to comment on masks.
There's some complete idiots around, isn't there? I mean, I'm out now today after the government's announcement, the latest announcements, and I'm the only one out and about wearing a face mask. I mean, we've all been advised to do it. I don't quite see the logic in it, but you know, at least I'm trying. Some people are just absolute idiots.
Thank God for humor.
God for humor.
Thank God for humor.
Oh,
I mean, you know,
that. Yeah.
You know, she's actually an incredible singer.
Who is that, by the way? Oh, I lost you. You're frozen.
I will send you the name. But she went on to Britain's Got Talent with the gay big band.
Oh.
She went on with the gay big band and Britain's Got Talent, and then got through to the final, I believe.
Oh, wow.
La Voix, Levoix.
Oh, okay.
La Voix.
I'm sure.
But she's incredible. I mean, actually sings live. A musical theatre performer that, you know, does an act.
Yeah.
Never heard of that before. But brilliant. I mean, brilliant entertainer, wonderful singer, and you know, thank God for drag queens. You know, lesbians or trans friends. You know, I mean, we come from a wonderful, diverse community, and that's just an example of somebody actually going, "Here's my slice of the world."
I know.
You know, when everybody's doing gloom and doom.
Well, there
Thank
is.
God.
I mean, yeah, exactly. I was on tour through the U.S. during the recession, like 2007, I think it was, and we were going to some of these old vaudevillian home, houses. We call them houses, theaters throughout the States, and our shows were packed, and I said to that fellow cast, like, aren't we in a recession right now? But people go out to the theater. People during the 30s were going out to movies. They were relying on vaudeville. That is our job now, to actually keep everyone sane. I think, to keep everyone entertained.
Well, definitely. I mean, the bottom line is, we are the dreamers of dreams, storytellers and artists. I don't know, scientists. I've always kind of gone, scientists are artist laborers. But I just think, happy days are here again. Forget your troubles, come on, get happy. There's a reason that these songs became phenomenal during the Depression. People need to get out of that space that is that's negative in whatever way you can. I mean,
exactly.
And I think looking at things that are being streamed. I mean, the RS theatre things. I mean, it's that wonderful American singer who I was playing it the other night, actually. She was on Broadway. I think Darren probably did Sunset Boulevard with her.
Oh, Glenn Close?
She sang this amazing... No. I think she was the walking cover for Glenn Close. Forgetting her name. Better Days. She sang this song called Better Days.
Carol. Betty Buckley. Betty Buckley.
No. Betty Buckley was one of the Normans, but she's a cabaret artist, works in New York all the time, and she's what's her name? I'm having a brain fart, but she's slightly older than Liz Calloway, but brilliant.
We'll have to Google it.
Did I send it to you? I can't remember. But just a wonderful artist, and people are putting things on Broadway. I mean, Lupone's doing outrageous comedy from her basement. And and like
ask anything to Patti LuPone. Oh, we froze again.
Exactly. I mean, balls of steel. Would you mess with that woman?
No.
Would you mess with Patti LuPone?
Definitely. I mean, not. No way. She's got big hairy balls. I'm steering far away from Patti LuPone. Although she does seem a very real person. She's very.
I saw her second night in Sunset Boulevard. The second night in Sunset Boulevard, and it was one of those kind of some nights you go to the theatre and you go blah, but it was one of those nights you go, oh my God, so that's why you're a star.
Yes, right. Bow down to the queen.
No, just it was like just somebody who's really in it, and you go, oh, that's what the gig is. Yeah, she was remarkable.
Yeah, she really is, and she was in this new Netflix show called Hollywood as well.
I watched that. Have you seen it?
Yes, I did. Very. I mean, she stuck out to me as well, right? I mean, wow, good honor for getting head from a young guy, and the whole sex scene. Spoiler alert! With her getting, getting service. I was like, good for you, Patti LuPone. You do it. That was wow. So, and I really
who the hell to say older people shouldn't have sex? I mean, I think it's great. Why not? It doesn't break.
No,
it's the best toy we've ever been given.
Exactly.
It's true. I think it's great.
Yeah. I heard now. I was also reading, just to change back to what we were talking about sputum. I was reading some articles on officers being spit on in London. Did you hear about this?
I did. I mean, it's that there's crazies and there's crazies and there's crazies.
Yeah.
And selfish will do as selfish will do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's engaging in that kind of behavior is clearly not well. No. I mean, almost as crazy as injecting yourself with bleach or disinfectant. But that's a whole separate conversation.
To do that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but don't wear masks.
Yeah, right. You'll be fine. It's all hype. Yeah. It's all, what do you call it? Fake news. Yeah. Well, I think that's I'm really glad you came on, Alastair. Thank you so much. Is there a place where people can go and actually find out more information about the I think you gave me a website, this stigma
That's the project. That's the research project that I've been running, looking at stigma and stigma discrimination in the UK.
Right.
But you know, and I think the COVID response. I mean, for me, the government briefings. You know, I'm really clear. You know, we've got the British HIV Association guidance here. We've got government. Internet is a great asset, great tool, but unless you're very sure of the sources and you're actually able to check your references or discern the facts from the bullshit, and there's a lot of that. I mean, people that are doing PhDs in fake news, industrializing how to lie. So I'm really clear. I mean, if I'm going to take medical advice on a virus, I'm going to be taking it from an epidemiologist or from a medical doctor. Or from somebody that's actually approved by government process. Just avoid the bullshit and avoid the conspiracy theories. I mean, God knows whether they're true, but I would rather take my truth from somebody that's actually got the competencies and the intelligence and the qualifications from which to speak.
Exactly. And that's actually one of the reasons why somebody said, why am I doing this show? This is the reason why I'm doing this show, is to cut to the quick, to get to the, to check in with the people of those countries who are working with, organizations like yourself.
It's scary here. It's scary. And people are dying. I mean, I'm going to leave you with one little story. I've got an auntie who's 92 in Glasgow, and she went into a nursing home on the day that the lockdown happened. I mean, she's got vascular dementia, and she's 92, my dad's youngest sister. And she's, Ellen, known as Nelly. She's hysterical. I mean, she's truly hysterical. And she had, she was in a nursing home. I mean, a brand new open nursing home, because, she was getting to a stage where she needed support, and her family, decided that this was an intelligent choice, and it has been. And this place were looking after her incredibly, and she picked up a bit of a lung chest infection. And she was taken into hospital. And of course, my cousin, Janice, who's the oldest of the children, she was a senior nurse working in Edinburgh in a hospital, and has expertise in that area. And she was dealing with the hospital, and she was kind of advised to go in because she's 92, and they're going, she's on we don't know how it's going to go. She might not do well. Anyway, the bold Nelly, after 4 days, is out of that gaff, because she sure as hell wasn't dying in there. And she's back home in a nursing home, walloping into soup and cottage pie and back with her friends. She's been quarantined and being quarantined in the care home for the next 14 days in line with current guidance. And I've got a funny feeling this old dame's going to see 100. So, I mean, at 92, she had a bit of a scare, and she's going, and she had amazing care in the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Glasgow. And she's out, and she's eating like a horse, as she always has. And back giving them hell in her care home. So, I think it's
amazing. That's
people, our bodies are designed for wellness, not illness.
No,
Fact.
Exactly. And that's actually a really uplifting story, like to know that not everybody is in line with that, and some of those people are dying of natural causes, that COVID just happens to be in their blood and is part of the makeup of, this person may not have died of COVID, but COVID was present in the bloodstream. So there's
like many things, everybody is different. Everybody is different. But I think the bottom line is our bodies are designed to get well, not stay ill.
I think so too.
And if disease is a complex thing, but I think we've got certain principles. God knows we break all the rules, but we've got certain principles we know we can apply at this time. And I think if we apply them effectively and properly and consistently, we can actually get through this. I've got great faith in people. This is we've fried bigger fish than this as a species. This is just one of those things we're going to have to get through if we commit to being the best we can be.
I think so too. And we've gotten through, a lot of these massive waves of plague or whatever you want to call them. But we've got the science too. We can.
I survived the HIV epidemic.
Yes. Yeah. That's what I always think.
We survived HIV in the 80s and 90s. This is just one of those things, and it's there are certain rules we know and many we don't. If we apply the ones we do effectively, I think we've got a good chance of getting through this.
That's the key. Follow the rules, Anyway,
don't make them rules, make them principles.
Right. Thank you so much, Alastair. I
You're
won't
welcome.
keep you any longer. I really appreciate
All right,
coming
my
on
darling.
this show, and hopefully I'll see you in the UK or in Canada. We'll meet somewhere we'll meet in the Maldives with with Mark.
My house is yours. The kettle's always on.
Okay.
Stay
Thank you
safe.
so much. Slanchova, thank you so much.
All right, my darling. Bless you.
Okay, bless you too. That was Alastair. Really appreciate Alastair coming on. As you can see, he's very well informed about what's happening in the UK. And this is this is a lot for us to take in. But I think that if we just, like Alastair said, follow the principles, we will survive. I wish I had music to cue the music to "We Will Survive." Just so you guys know, this show again plays Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. We've got some wonderful guests coming up. A couple of them haven't confirmed yet, so we'll see. But on Tuesday, the 26th of May, I've got Antonio coming on. Cantesano. He's coming on. He's in Portugal, and hopefully Lloyd Dickey Robinson Johnson will also be in Portugal, so he can give us an update of what's happening in the country. Greg and Sean are coming to us from Hong Kong, hopefully on Thursday. We still have yet to confirm, so if anyone could call them and let them know they're on the show, that would be great. And Janja, who is a friend of a friend from Sweden. I am super intrigued about what's happening in Sweden because of we've heard so many different things about these different countries. So yes, thank you everybody for tuning in. This is a really interesting episode. I think I hit everything. Yes, I did. So wear your mask, please, as an extra precaution. We've had an upshot of cases, of course, since Mother's Day and since the last weekend. The cases in Canada, anyway, in Ontario, have shot up because everyone is out social distancing, or not social distancing, actually. I have a video that I took when I was out bike riding the other day, and I just want to show that to you quickly. Yeah, so that's people just not adhering to the rules, not wearing masks. Very few people wearing masks. It actually hit the news in Toronto. CTV, CBC did a whole report on it. So if we're not careful, my friends, this could go on for quite some time. It's going to keep happening if and if we don't adhere to these certain things that are going to save us. And as you can see from other countries, other people that I've talked to in other countries, they're wearing masks, and the rules and regulations are starting to lift. If we don't, nothing's going to lift, and our economy is going to suffer, and nobody's going to get back to anything if we don't follow the rules. Anyway, wash your hands, my friends. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Be nice to each other. Be kind, as Ellen DeGeneres says. And yeah, look out for one another. I hope that you guys will tune in on Tuesday. It's going to be an interesting broadcast with Antonio on that day. So we'll see you at 1 o'clock on Tuesday. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. Have a great day. Enjoy the weather. Be safe.